Hi everyone, I'm Tallulah, and until recently I lived in Florida with my parents. They have their own business, which is becoming more and more successful. I was often compared to my mother as she was an extraordinarily beautiful woman, and I dreamed when I grew up to be just like her. But one day everything changed. On the bike that I received recently as a present, I raced along the road. Suddenly, I realized I was riding it too fast, but I couldn't slow down. Oh my God! I was so scared that I suddenly ran into some stones on the side of the road and flew off the bike. I lost consciousness from the terrible pain. In the hospital, when I came to my senses, my legs, arms were in place. I could move them. That means everything is fine, I thought. But the doctor avoided looking at me. I noticed this and asked what was the matter. He silently handed me a mirror, and what I saw shook me to my core. My face! Everything was in stitches. It turned out that I fell on the stones and scratched my face badly. A couple of days later, I was allowed to go home. My parents surrounded me with care and attention, but I didn't have the courage to look at myself in the mirror. On YouTube, I started watching different tutorials on how to do professional makeup to hide the scars on my face. My mom's cosmetics, a few days of training, and I did it. Now I could go to school and no one would notice a thing. But then, my mother upset me. She explained that I would have to move and live with her sister for a while. To California. My parents were having difficulties with business, and now we urgently needed to sell our house in order to pay off our debts. My aunt welcomed me, to put it lightly, not very well. She immediately said that I should obey her, as she gave me housing and would pay for my school while my parents were having financial difficulties. And I didn't want to upset my parents, so I fulfilled all her whims, to read a book to her before bedtime, to bring warm milk to bed. I was well received at school. One gorgeous brunette, seeing me, immediately invited me to take a seat next to her. Kristen, that was her name, liked to talk incessantly. We soon became very close friends, and once she offered me to stay at her house overnight. Of course, I happily agreed, but there was something I hadn't thought about. Before I continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you have clicked on the bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. Anyway, at Kristen's house, we watched a movie, ate popcorn, and then started to get ready for bed. And then she handed me a cotton pad and asked in surprise, "Tallulah, what about your makeup? Take it off, let the skin rest at night." And then I realized I was in trouble. I can't take my makeup off, otherwise she'll see how terrible my face looks. Those scars. Oh no. I gave her the cotton pad back and said, it's okay, no need. I have organic cosmetics. My skin doesn't suffer from this kind of makeup. Kristen shrugged her shoulders in surprise but said nothing. Once at school in the hallway at recess, a guy ran into me. He nearly knocked me off my feet, but I managed to grab his hand and kept my balance. Our eyes met. "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it. I'm Henry." "Hi, it's fine, Tallulah." He didn't let go of my hand, and I got hot from his touch. I felt beads of sweat on my forehead. Henry handed me a napkin. I raised it to my forehead and realized with horror that my makeup was gonna come off. Oh no! Henry, I'm sorry, I have to run. I pulled my hand out of his and ran to the women's restroom to fix my makeup. A couple more minutes and everyone would have seen my monstrous scars, and I was not ready for that. I didn't want everyone to point fingers at me or run away in horror. It's hard to be different. The next day, I ran into Henry at the exit of the school. "Hey, Fast and Furious," he smiled at me. "Is your way home through the park? Let's go together. My house is in the same direction." I silently nodded. I was so glad to see him again. We walked, chatted. Everything was wonderful. It was very hot, so there were cars on the road that drove around the city and sprayed the asphalt with water. One of them was moving towards us on the road, but I didn't notice it. I looked at Henry. He talked about a funny incident that happened to him this summer when he was learning to surf. I suddenly stumbled and fell. And at that moment, a car drove right next to me and doused me with a jet of cold water. Henry helped me up. "Are you okay, Tallulah?" And then I noticed he was looking at me differently. He was looking at my face very carefully. My makeup, I understood everything. The jet of water washed it away, and now Henry saw all of my scars. I felt terribly ashamed. I covered my face with my hands and cried. Henry silently hugged me and waited for me to calm down. Then I told him everything, and I didn't see any condemnation or fear in his eyes when he looked at the real me. When I was silent, he suddenly sat down, rolled one leg of his trousers up, and I saw deep scars that encircled his leg. "See? You're not the only one with scars. There's no need to be ashamed of them. You're an incredible girl, Tallulah. Stop embarrassing yourself." He spoke so convincingly that I believed him. The next day, I decided to come to school without makeup. Near the entrance, Henry was waiting for me, in shorts. He also decided to show everyone his scars and support me. I was very nervous. The whole day at school, no one openly mocked me. Some were whispering behind my back, but Henry's smile cheered me up. And after school, another surprise awaited me. My mother arrived. She took me home. The debts were paid, the business got better, and now we got to live our former happy life again. And Mom was so extremely happy that I got rid of my complexes and no longer hid my scars. And she promised to think about my proposal to move to California, because Henry's waiting for me there, and we'll definitely meet again. In the meantime, write in the comments, how do you like my story? Share your thoughts on this. I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for listening to me.